All right, hello everybody. Thanks for watching this video. In this video, we're going to be going over the CVP worksheet. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is calculating the break even, or eventually calculating the break even for a, a breakfast buffet. Okay, just laying out the worksheet a little bit here. On the left-hand side, we have all the ingredients or food items that we think are going to be included within for one guest attending our buffet. So we have some orange juice, some yogurt, cured ham, eggs. So these are all the things that we think are going to be consumed in one sitting of our buffet. Next, we have the cost per piece. For example, one portion of orange juice for one guest is 47 cents. One napkin is 7 cents. Okay. The next column over, we have identified, or at least to some degree, kind of estimated the expected portions to be consumed by one guest. Okay, so we're not really talking about what the portion sizes are here. That's kind of already been determined, let's say. So we're saying, one guest is going to have 1.5 portions of orange juice at 47 cents a portion. So the first step here is calculate the food cost for one guest. So what that means is we have to calculate how much of each ingredient, the dollar cost, sorry, of each ingredient that one guest would consume. If we know how many portions are going to be consumed by one guest, and we know the cost per portion, what we do is multiply the two to get the food cost per guest. So in this case, or in this example here, with our orange juice, we are expecting that a single guest is going to have 1.5 portions, and one portion is 47 cents. So we multiply the two, and we come to a food cost for our orange juice per guest of 71 cents. So that's all we're going to do all the way down here. So we're just multiplying the two across like this. Yogurt is 58 cents per portion, and we're expecting a guest is going to have one portion, so the cost or the food cost for yogurt for one guest is 58 cents, and we're just going to do that all the way down. Just multiplying straight across. There we are. There we go. Eggs. Now, for the sake of time in this example, I'm just going to fill in the rest very quickly like that. Awesome. So now we have the expected food cost for one guest for each item. Okay, so for each item all the way down, from orange juice all the way to a napkin. Okay, so now what we want to do is get into the nitty-gritty of the break-even here. Okay, so we have some information. We need to fill in some information, and on the left-hand side here we have some hints about how to calculate things like your total variable costs, your variable rate, your contribution rate, things like that. Okay, so our first piece here is the menu price, or the revenue per one guest. So one guest comes into our buffet, and we're expecting that they're going to eat this amount of food, and we're going to charge them $23.50. Next, we just want to calculate the food cost for one cover, so for one guest. If this is all the individual cost per portion that one guest is going to have, then the food cost for the total food cost for one guest would just be the addition of all those. So we're just going to add all those up. Okay. When we do that, we get a food cost of $5.87 for one guest. Next is our variable labor, which is already given to us. So what we're saying is that one guest is going to consume $5.87 worth of food, and it's going to cost us $1.41 in labor to serve one guest. Next, we want to find the total variable costs associated with one guest, and the calculation here, or in this case, would simply be the food cost per guest as well as the variable labor. So we're just going to add those two together. So at this point, a guest comes in, they're going to spend $23.50 at our buffet. In just variable costs for one guest, it's going to cost us $7.28 to generate that revenue. Now we want to calculate the variable rate. As shown in the lecture, the variable rate, and the equation's right here, your variable rate is your variable cost divided by the menu price, or by sales. So what we're going to do here is take our total variable costs and divide it by our menu price of $23.50. We get 30.97%. So what that means is that every time we sell to a single guest, we're going to charge them $23.50, and 30.97% of that $23.50 is going to go towards covering the variable costs. Next, excuse me, is our contribution rate. Okay, now this is a lot of what we use for our break even. There's a couple ways to calculate this. One way we have here is 1 minus your variable rate, because your contribution rate and your variable rate are two pieces to a whole. So if we know 1, 1 minus the one side of the piece or the whole will give us the other side. The other way to calculate this is your contribution margin divided by sales. In this case, the equation that I've given here is a bit easier, and it's less sticky than the other equation, so we're going to use that. So we take 1 minus the variable rate, and we get a contribution rate of 69.03%. So what this means is that after we sell a cover, or $23.50 for one guest, 69.03% of that $23.50 goes towards covering our fixed costs and providing us with a profit. Next, we're going to calculate our contribution margin. Okay, here our contribution margin, the equation, sorry, is your menu price minus your variable costs. Okay, or with the CVP equation, it's your sales minus your variable costs, but we don't have that here. We have menu price. So we take our $23.50 and we subtract our total variable costs, and it gives us a contribution margin of $16.22. This means that every time a guest pays $23.57, or sorry, 50 cents, $16.22 goes towards our fixed costs and providing us with a profit. Another method you could use to calculate to the contribution method here, or the contribution margin here, would be to take the contribution rate and then multiply it by the menu price. So now we're getting near the end of this particular worksheet. So we're trying to calculate the the dollar sales required to break even. So our break even point in sales. Okay, that's calculated by taking your fixed cost, dividing by your contribution rate. We're given our fixed cost here and even some required profit. So what we do is take our fixed costs and we're going to divide it by our contribution rate. This means that we have to, in order to break even and make whatever kind of profit that was, we have to sell $398.37 to do that. At that point, we've hit our mark and we've covered our fixed costs. Next, we want to find the number of covers required to break even. So here we calculated our dollar sales to break even. That's good to know because that's the threshold where you're making money or losing it, I guess. But the number of covers is a lot easier to conceptualize in terms of like how many people do I really have to serve to make this happen, right? So we take our fixed costs, okay, the equation's right here again, and then we divide it by our contribution margin per unit. Okay, so right here, divide it by $16.22. So what this means is that in order to break even, we need to serve 16.95 guests. We can't really have 0.95 of a guest, so I would say in this case we'd have to serve 17 guests. So this is the CVP worksheet. Again, what it does is it takes you through calculating the food cost per guest, um, and then from that information and others here, we calculated the break even for our brunch buffet. So in order to break even, we have to sell $398.37 or serve 16.95 guests or 17 guests. Thank you for watching.